What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're bringing you our first ever episode of the Project Boro preview show, which is going to be a show that's going to run alongside the usual Project Boro, which is a series I've run on the channel for almost 2 seasons, which pretty much is me reviewing and giving my thoughts and reactions to every single Boro game. And this season, we have decided to expand that out into a preview show of sorts, where I'll be looking ahead and discussing my thoughts and predictions on the team that we have upcoming in the Championship. And like with the Project Boro series, it is available here on my YouTube channel, but if you'd rather listen to it on the go, this will also be dropped alongside the Project Boro reviewing show on my Spotify or on your podcast provider of your choice. All links are in the description. So, obviously, with the first preview show, we're going to be looking ahead to the opening day, which is Boro hosting Swansea City. And naturally, of course, with it being pre-season, there's not as much to go on when it comes to the opposition. And what we can look at and what we will look at in these Project Boro preview shows is the recent form of the side that we're looking at, any outstanding players that we need to look out for, their likely starting 11 in contrast to ours, and where I think Boro will do and what I think Boro will look like, as well as our recent head-to-head with this side, as well as my predictions. So lots to chat about and discuss. And first of all, let's look at Swansea. Now, again, there's not much to go off in terms of fixtures and results. Swansea have just come off of a decent pre-season, I would say. Results, as I say, aren't all that important. They won 1, lost 1 and drew 1 out on their, I think they had a pre-season tour of Portugal, potentially, but they did come out of it with a 3-0 win over a Portuguese top-tier side. So they've come out of pre-season with a really strong result. And the general consensus I'm getting from Swansea fans is that they are starting to find their identity again. You know, last season they decided to start the season with Michael Duff, and both his style of football and just, I think, the way he communicated with fans, it just wasn't a good match, and it put Swansea back. And following Russell Martin's departure, they're finally getting back to what they call the Swansea way. You know, it's a very attractive possession-based style of football. We've seen it utilised very well under Brendan Rodgers in the past, Steve Cooper. They've had some really good players and good managers at Swansea, and I think they're finally on the right track to getting back to where they were, albeit at the start of what I would say is this process with, of course, Luke Williams, who did play a very attacking and a goal-scoring style at Notts County, which, of course, got them into the EFL, scoring goals for absolute fun. So I think they're at the start of this journey for me, and they've still got a long way to go, but they're finding their way, and they're getting back to the Swansea that I think their fans can resonate with, their fans can get behind, what their fans recognise. And that's why, albeit my initial predictions surrounding Swansea this season were a little bit pessimistic, they're growing on me quite a bit. And I think a lot of that is to do with the potential of this team and some of the signings they've brought in, because I think, like a lot of teams in the Championship, to be honest, they just need patience. You know, they need to give Luke Williams the time, and I feel like they still might go through a few rocky bumps in the road, a few tough times, but I think overall, if they're patient enough, things will come good. And I'll get onto my thoughts on the game towards the end, but I'm glad we're playing Swansea when we are, if I'm honest, because they've made 3 big signings, you could say, over the summer. Some of them will feature, I think, in the game on Saturday, some won't. Gonçalo Franco is probably one of the biggest ones. A lot of hype around him that I've seen. 23-year-old from Moreirense. He's a central midfielder / attacking midfielder who I believe will be playing in a 3 in behind the striker. Forgive me if I'm wrong there, Swansea fans. But as well as him, they've brought Ji-Sung Eom in from the K-League. He's played in pre-season to a 22-year-old left winger. And along with Lawrence Vigoureau from Burnley on a free, maybe their most exciting signing has come from Bordeaux, who, of course, down to their unfortunate circumstances, it is awful to see a side as big as Bordeaux go under as they have done, but Swansea have capitalised on that circumstance and have brought Zan Vipotnik in on a free transfer. I believe he played in the Euros for Slovenia, so he's an international, and he's someone who they are quite excited about down in Swansea. So, yeah, an exciting summer, I would say, and I think they've made good signings, and given time, I think this team will come good in terms of their recent form and I guess how they're looking coming into the season. They finished 14th last year. I think they started to pick up pace a little bit towards the end of the season, won 3 of their last 5 games, albeit neither of them were in their last 2, had a steady pre-season, as I say, and in their final pre-season game, the 11 they went with was this, and I'm just going off what I believe will be the case at many clubs like Boro, is that they're probably trialling their starting 11 for the opening day in their final pre-season friendly. But what it looked like was, I think, a 4-2-3-1. They had Lawrence Figueroa in goal, of course, a new signing from Burnley, a back 4 of Josh Key, Ben Cabango, Harry Darling and Josh Tyman. They have lost Nathan Wood, who was a big player in their defence, of course, someone that was previously at Boro as a youngster and has gone on to bigger things, now at Southampton in the Premier League, but it's still a decent back 4 with decent championship experience there, so it'll be a solid back 4. They've got Matt Grimes, who of course is still, I think, one of the better midfielders in the championship in that midfield pair alongside Jay Fulton, and then I believe they've got an attacking 3 in behind striker Liam Cullen. Ji Sung-yom, of course, who has signed along with Gonçalo Franco, and Azim Abdullahi will be in behind Liam Cullen up front. Now, I wouldn't say Liam Cullen is a particularly potent and prolific striker at this level, so I'm not too concerned with him up front, but I think the players that they've got in behind him are pretty exciting. You know, for me, Liam Cullen, I think he maybe had 7 goals last season, I think it was, in 45 championship appearances. Doesn't really get double figures all that often, so I think we might be quite fortunate that the Popnik probably won't start here. I don't think he played in their final pre-season game, so I'd be shocked if they dropped him straight into the starting 11 for the championship opener, but he still could come on and potentially make an impact. Again, leaning into my sort of thoughts that I'm glad we're getting Swansea out the way when we are. So that's what I think of Swansea, a solid side who will come good. And it'd be interesting to see how their new signings take to their first championship game against Boro. I think Boro have got a more settled squad, so they might surprise us. We'll have to wait and see. But in terms of Swansea, they play a very strong possession 4-2-3-1 like Boro, so it could be a bit of a chess match this game. It could be both sides struggling for control over the game, and maybe it could come down to who has that little bit of quality, and I'll get onto my prediction at the end, but I think it'll be a pretty close one overall. The one thing Boro do have on our side, moving over to the Boro perspective, is a good record of late against Swansea. Of course, as we know, we've had a very good pre-season, barring a behind closed doors friendly at the very start of pre-season. Boro have been unbeaten, and I think have won 3 of our 4 pre-season friendlies. We've got a very, very settled squad, predominantly of players who were around last season, who I think have only grown in terms of their chemistry and their connections with one another. The only change I would foresee from our pre-season friendly is that Aidan Morris is probably going to start in place of Johnny Howson, who of course we signed from Columbus Crew. So that's probably the only, not concerned, but it will be, interesting to see how Aidan Morris gets on in his first full-on championship start, thrown in the deep end, you could say. But other than that, I think Boro's 11 will remain as it was in the final pre-season game. Dieng will be in goal. We'll have a back 4 of Luke Ayling, Ralph Vandenberg, Matt Clark and Lucas Engel. We'll then have Hackney and Morris as a pair in midfield. McGree will be on the left, Zaz will be in the middle, Jones will start on the right, and Latilath will be up front. Now, head-to-head, Swansea have not had a great record up at Boro. In fact, just in general, Boro have won 5 of our last 6 meetings, both here and down at Swansea. Swansea's last win at the Riverside came in a terrible 3-0 defeat for Boro in June of 2020, and Boro fans will remember this. I'm not going to say fondly because it's not fond at all. It was the first game back post-COVID under Jonathan Woodgate, and I will be honest, that was probably the day I was genuinely concerned, and I generally thought Boro would likely be getting relegated out of the Championship. It was a terrible, terrible return to football after COVID, a terrible time for everyone. We finally get some football with the Boro, and they drop a 3-0 defeat where we were staring relegation down the barrel, essentially, at that point. It was awful, and a really dark day that still stands very, very vividly in memory of a lot of Boro fans, I would say. But since then, we've had a good record against Swansea, and I don't think they particularly have much joy coming up here. But if I am to give any Swansea fans listening a glimmer of hope, Boro have not won on the opening day in 10 seasons. We've got a pretty bad record on the opening day, and we start terribly slowly most seasons. And it was a 2-0 win against Birmingham back in 2014. That was the last time Boro won at home on the opening day, or won in the opening day at all, sorry, should I say. So this has all the hallmarks of being a tight game, as I say, a chess match. I do think Boro will be more settled. As I say, I do think we're best prepped going in to the season in terms of the 11 we'll field and the overall squad. But head-to-head wise, it's pretty level. Boro have won 7, Swansea have won 7, we've drew 3. But I think our strength at home will hopefully give us the edge here. So, finishing off with my prediction, I'm going to go 1-0 Boro. I can't see this being a strong and particularly eventful opening game of the season. I think there may be nerves, there'll be a lot of players still coming up to speed as expected. I'd be shocked if either team just absolutely, took off in this one. And as I say, 2 high possession-based sides. So it could be a bit of a tug of war in this game. But I think in terms of quality, who has the quality to nick it, I'd edge with Boro, having McGree and Azaz in behind Latilath, who of course scored 11 in his last 12 championship games back end of last season. And it's pretty much picked up from where he left off in pre-season too. I think Boro will edge it, so I'm going to go Boro 1, Swansea City 0. And Boro to win our first opening day game in 10 goddamn seasons. So, there's my thoughts ahead of this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This is, of course, the first episode of the Project Boro preview show, so let me know your feedback in the comment section below. I'm absolutely all ears to hear any other things you guys would like to hear from me heading into upcoming games, thoughts on other specific topics maybe, and how we can just improve and refine this series out. We did exactly the same with the initial Project Boro series, and that's going from strength to strength over the seasons, and I'd like to do the same thing with this. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below with your thoughts on the video, any improvements, as well as your predictions and thoughts. I'd love to hear from any Swansea fans who may stumble across this video, and if you like what you saw, then subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're doing lots of Boro content and championship reaction content this season, and of course like the video as it really helps support the video and the channel out. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, you can listen to these on the go if you'd prefer by heading over to your chosen podcast provider. Link is in the description. But until next time guys, enjoy the opening day, whichever team you support. I can't wait. It's been a long summer. The season's finally here. I just hope Boro finally, unlike most years, kick it off with a win. But I'll be back post-Swansea for a Project Boro reacting to whatever the hell happens on Saturday. Fingers crossed it's a win, and I'll see you all then. Up the Boro.